Hi, hi, Carmen. So nice to see
Hello.
you.
Hello, Maria. So good to see
How
you.
are you? Thank you.
Hi.
Many thanks for coming to talk to us about these nice things that you have prepared. I see you. You're very,
Thank
very
you.
active.
Yes, this area now. Yes, thank you for the invitation.
It's always a
And
pleasure.
I put here some flowers from Timișoara. They are for you.
Oh, thank you so much. Timisoara is a wonderful city. Thank you
Yes,
also. Yes, you have invited me. I saw this beautiful city, so I'm very happy to
yes.
have the picture now. Eh? That's
Where,
wonderful.
uh, where are you now?
Now, Thessaloniki, in Thessaloniki, here in the house, closed. Yes.
You should
Anyway,
be in front. You should have been in front of the sea.
yes, I should
How
have,
was
but
the sea?
unfortunately, with COVID, we are very, very now. Yes, we try to be careful. Anyway, things getting better slowly, slowly, and I think we will start living again in the
Yes,
normal, yes, rhythms.
yes.
Antonio,
Let's go.
we
Hello,
are
Antonio.
chatting.
Hello, Antonio.
Hello,
Thank you.
Carmen. Yeah,
Hello.
I was
Thanks
just
for your
listening to you.
support.
No, thanks for your presence here and for accepting our Maria invitation to participate as keynote speaker in this Multiplier event. So it's 11:30, and I think that we can start again. The presentation is there with the flowers. So also thanks for this beautiful image. I will make you host.
Thank
Just
you.
a second.
Okay, I think that since we have also more participants, I will say a few things again to introduce our
Absolutely.
speaker, our wonderful speaker and
Thank you.
dear friend. Carmen Holotescu is Dean of the Ion Slavici University of Timisoara and Director of the Center for Open Education and Blockchain in Romania. If I say something wrong, you can always, say something. So this is really a big opportunity for us to listen to all this new stuff that you're preparing on open education and blockchain. I will say that you have a PhD on new technologies and open education. Carmen has participated in many European projects and has a rich experience in designing and implementing learning and collaborative platforms based on open pedagogy. Carmen has also written over 100 articles and chapter books related to e-learning, blended learning, social media, open educational resources, massive open online courses, and blockchain, mentioned in more than 1,500 citations. Compliments. And she's also an online certified instructor of the University of Maryland, University College of United States, facilitating for 12 years online courses at this university. So I'm really impressed, but I know what you do, and I think that now you have impressed all the others as well. So I leave the floor to you. And okay.
Yeah, we are all impressed, and we look forward for this presentation. Carmen, you are host right now, so immediately below your presentation, we'll find the arrows that can guide you. Perfect. So the stage is yours, and we are listening to you.
Thank you very much, Maria and Antonio, for the introduction, for your support, for the invitation. I'm glad to be here in this multiplier event. I could listen to your presentations, to the impressive activities that you had in this project, and the important and useful results. I will try to introduce you a little, or to give you more information about the links between open education and blockchain. During the last years, we could hear, we could listen each day about blockchain, but mainly about the applications in financial domains. But there are a lot of very useful applications in education, and each of us, you'll see, we will use this technology in all the processes of teaching and learning, in management, and in the administrative part of education. Here on the first slide, I put some flowers from a nice park of Timișoara, which is called my city, which is called the town of flowers. Maria visited us 4 years ago. She was a keynote speaker in one of our conferences. So what I would like to talk with you today, a few things about what means blockchain, about use cases in education, about the important policies and projects at European level, and also to present a few projects in my country, and then to give you new links to explore, to learn and practice about blockchain in education. The technology blockchain appeared in 2008 and 9. It's a technology which was coined, implemented, built by the still unknown Satoshi Nakamoto. Mainly, we can see this blockchain as a very safe storage, a very safe database. The same data, the same blocks, because the information is stored in blocks. All these blocks, which are linked, are stored on many nodes, on many computers all over the world. All of these nodes stores the same information, which cannot be deleted, cannot be modified. So the information is permanent, and also a new block is added at the end of all the blocks only if all the nodes agree with this, are in consent with this new block. This is mainly this technology, so a very safe database. I put on my presentation a lot of links, so those of you who want to see, to explore more, are kindly invited to go on these links. And I'm sure that during the implementation of your project, you could hear many things about blockchain from Alexander from UK, who is a very active member of a very important blockchain project in Europe. It is called the Polychain, and other projects from Open University. So the main, the most known platform, blockchain platform, is of course Bitcoin. Then it's Ethereum. It was built, it was implemented in 2015 by a very young man, Vitalik Buterin, who is now 27 years old. And here you can see the main characteristics of a blockchain platform. It is decentralized from the politically and architecturally point of view, but of course it has a logic in the entire system. At this moment, there are around 6,000 blockchain platforms. So there is a lot variety of platforms. And here you can explore how a blockchain works. The main advantages of the technology there are the fact that the users are in the control of the information they store on the blockchain. Also, the blockchain, it is called the technology of trust, is transparent. The information on the blockchain cannot be modified, and also the technology provides a lot of means for collaboration. You can see on the wall cloud, which is on this slide, the domains in which this technology can be used. And it's a very important report. One of the first reports about blockchain in education was written by Alex Greff and Anthony Camilleri. Maybe you know them because they are very active in the area of micro-credentials, not only related with blockchain, with diplomas and with this system in Europe. They are both from Malta, and their first report on blockchain in education was published 4 years ago. As I told already, there are many domains in which blockchain can be used, and here you can find and you can explore different concrete applications for different domains. Blockchain is considered one of the technology of the fourth industrial revolution, the term which was coined 5 years ago, and Romanian Mihaela Ulieru, who is a university professor in United States, and she is also a very active participant in many blockchain projects. She was the one that came with different proofs to introduce blockchain in the family of the technologies of this new industrial revolution. Blockchain is connected with sustainable development, with the circular economy, and with is a background and a link between all the other technologies of this new industrial revolution. Now, speaking about the applications, the use cases in education, you can see here quoted from an article 20 ways in which blockchain can be used in education and can improve education. And I will focus more on a few uses. Speaking about the digital certification for different levels of education, not only formal but also informal. Also, blockchain is a very good medium for the management of intellectual property, for research or for articles. Also, on blockchain, we can track public funding. Blockchain can be used for student payment, for grants management, and also it produces enhancement from the pedagogical point of view. We can speak about some pioneering universities in this technology. They are University of Nicosia, which started a master degree in blockchain 7 years ago, and also they issue digital certificates in blockchain. My older son is graduated this program 1 year ago. Open University from UK, they have a lot of projects in this area, and Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which implemented 5 years ago an open source solution for digital certificates. It is called blockchain, and then this product was used and in many universities all over the world. Also, we can speak at this moment about a lot of projects, but also functional decentralized universities and learning communities. What means this? This means that the blockchain is used to record the activities of the members of the learning community. These universities and systems provide a reward system in order to stimulate the creation of new materials, the creation of open educational resources, the way in which the participants help each other, and the tokens which are obtained using this reward system can be used in order to access different career paths, to enroll in new courses, and so on. Such decentralized ecosystem of learning is very useful, and it contains not only teachers and learners, but also employers. Also, we can we can find a lot of decentralized systems for reputation and for recruiting, and also blockchain can be used in open research. I would add that at this moment I work for a project in which a blockchain infrastructure is added to a system for research, to an European network of research, in which open data for research are stored on blockchain. Also, different certificates for intellectual property, for articles and research projects are issued, and also different data for the traceability of the activities of the research institutions are stored on the blockchain. And European Commission came with a lot of policies and initiatives in order to support the blockchain integration in education at different levels in Europe. And I would mention here the main pillars for blockchain in European Union, in which blockchain technology is considered to be strategic. 3 years ago, EU Blockchain Observatory and Forum was launched. Europe. And there is also INADBA, another important organization at the European level. And I will mention here a very important project, in fact, the main project of the partnership of blockchain in Europe, which is European Blockchain Services Infrastructure, a project which started 2 years ago. This project builds an European blockchain in which different applications can be implemented. At this moment, there are 7 use cases, and for us as educational actors, the main important use case here is diplomas, for which I have information on my slide. Here I quoted the resolution of the European Parliament. And also, those of you who want to explore more, you can find very interesting reports of the observatory. The strategy and the project of the partnership come to support the vision for the future of education in Europe, in which we have a lot of projects and strategies which are related to add new values to diplomas at different levels. We want to align the offer to the demand, to have flexible models for education and flexible models for collaboration. And speaking about the digital strategy of education in Europe, there are a few important factors here which are related to blockchain. You see the data strategy and the digital credentials strategy. And again, speaking about the education at European level, we want to implement a new type of learning in which to be able to acquire skills at all the ages, to have a variety of stakeholders delivering formal and informal education, and to combine these paths in different ways in order to give to each one the skills and knowledge they need. And the new requirements on credential solutions come to support this new type of learning. Coming back to the European blockchain services infrastructure, here there are the characteristics of this infrastructure. There are envisioned many domains of the social and economic activities in which this infrastructure to come with applications. You can see here that in a very near future, we will use this infrastructure for identity and credentials, for distributed registry, for energy, for financial activities, for law, and so on. This infrastructure contains nodes in all the member states. And speaking about diplomas use case, what are the changes this use case brings for us? The fact that on the blockchain there will be stored diplomas at all levels, certificates, and we will not need a central institution to prove the fact that the credentials are true, but the fact that they are stored on the blockchain will facilitate us to have more mobility in continuing the studies in different universities, or to prove our studies and knowledge for different employers. The site of this project comes with many resources to understand and to be able to implement applications on this European infrastructure. And these diplomas on blockchain have a great potential. You can see here different numbers related to the number of students, universities, and mobilities which can use this use case. There is also another strategy related to micro-credentials, which are very much connected with your project, with mobilities. And as a conclusion, using verifiable lifelong learning credentials, we can break down the institutional silos and walls. Very briefly about the Romanian educational blockchain ecosystem, I put a link to a study I wrote with my sons. We have a lot of projects at the level of academic courses and projects, a lot of research. Also, some initiatives at the level of schools and colleges. And right now, a project which is very important is a project that I conceived. It was approved by the European Commission. And in this project, which is called Connecting Romania through Blockchain, we will implement a system for issuing university diplomas and micro-credentials in Romania. Also, to have this system for cross-borders use cases. Also, we will install a node for the European blockchain infrastructure in Romania, and also we will implement and run massive open online courses and webinars related to blockchain, to the European infrastructure, and to show how these blockchain applications can be built, can be implemented. Here, there are the activities of our project, and I would like to end my presentation with a kind invitation to explore, to learn and practice different applications which can be used in our day-by-day life, which are very friendly, such as Brave, safe browser. Maybe many of you know and use this browser. Also, you can use social platforms which have blockchain infrastructure. I put the taskbar, which is a system in which the people, the users, can share their knowledge and skills. There is also a Zoom extension, which in which you can be paid in tokens. A very useful magazine about blockchain. It is called Decrypt. Also, you can issue free digital certificates on blockchain using those two systems there. And you can learn, but also you can teach in many decentralized universities, such as those I put on this slide. So I hope that this topic about the connections between blockchain and opening up education interest you, and that starting from the ideas here, you can explore more and be prepared for blockchain in our activities in very near future. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carmen, for this interesting presentation. It seems flowers are a recurrent image because in addition to the cover of your presentation, I can also notice some Van Gogh flowers on your background. So it seems we understood one of your interests. So if there is any question from the audience, please, you can write it down on the chat, or you can open up your microphone and do your question directly to Carmen.
Okay, thank you, Carmen, for your inspiring speech. It was extremely useful. You have provided us with so many links, resources for this interesting topic. Actually, we have, me and myself and Maria have written a paper on blockchain and education. We can send it to you. I have a question. Maybe you have explored this issue much more than ourselves. Currently, there is the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all of these digital coins that are based on blockchain. And we know that they need a lot of processing power and eventually a lot of energy. So I imagine that if everyone in the world is using a blockchain and to certify everything, how much energy and processing power will be needed to do all these validations of all these credentials every moment? So have you considered this problem, let's say?
Yes, indeed. There are a lot of consensus algorithms. Some of them use a lot of energy. Such a variant is proof of work. You speak about proof of work, which is still used by Bitcoin, but Ethereum started to use proof of stake. So there are many variants of such algorithms, and only a part of them use a lot of energy. And day by day, new blockchain platforms come and have consensus algorithms which are green from the point of view of energy. You know that I think 4 weeks ago, Elon Musk, who also has a lot of technologies that use a lot of energy, came with this fact that blockchain and Bitcoin consumes a lot of energy, and you know that the price of Bitcoin got a very low level. So as in many domains of our life, also blockchain brings new solutions which are green from the point of view of energy.
Okay, thank you. And another question. You saw us that the University of Nicosia in Cyprus use blockchain to certify the diplomas. In Romania, does any university consider to use also blockchain to certify the diplomas?
You said the name of university, my university, or
your university, or any other Romanian university?
Yes, of course. So I was the first one 4 years ago who delivered a course about blockchain in Romania. I was a pioneer in this area, and also 3 years ago I built a system issuing digital certificates for my university, for different other institutions, or for conferences and so on. And on a slide, I showed some initiatives at pre-university level And last year, for all the pupils in Bucharest, and there were thousands, with the 10th grade for the national exams, together with my younger son, who is a PhD student for in blockchain. We issued certificates on blockchain for these pupils. And we have in the national strategy for education to have university diplomas and micro-credentials on blockchain. And in this project, which is implemented now, we will build this system, which will become at the national level, will be used in 1 or 2 years.
Okay, very nice. Congratulations.
Thank
You
you.
are at the forefront of research on this area.
Yes, yes. In a way, I hope we are. Yes. Thank you.
Many congratulations, Carmen. It was wonderful presentation, very informative. Since Panagiotis is now preparing for another presentation about language placement test, I also wanted to ask you if you know any organization or country that is pioneer in issuing digital language diplomas.
So using, Maria, using this European infrastructure on blockchain, you can issue badges, open badges on blockchain for mobilities, for the knowledge and skills acquired in your language courses or mini courses and so on. So this European infrastructure is not is not implemented also only for university diplomas, but also for certification at different levels of education, formal and informal. And which is important is the fact that they are recognized not only at national level, but also in the European area and also worldwide. I'm a member of a group of practice of World Bank related to blockchain in education. And this is a very important topic to issue credentials on blockchain, but not to build another silos for these credentials, but they to become recognized in all the world. So very easy to have the proof on your mobile phone and to prove to a university or to a employer that you have also already the studies in order to continue your studies and or to go to a company to work for them.
We are looking forward to this step, let's say. It's yes, it sounds really challenging and interesting. Thank you so much for your reply and for all the information provided.
Thank you. And,
thank you, Carmen.
We have a think tank in this project I told you about, and I already put your name, and I hope to have the connection also with your colleagues in order to test this possibility to use in different countries these micro credentials and or digital credentials on blockchain. So we'll be in touch also in the
Thank you. Thank you.
An official invitation. Thank you. Thank you for all.
Thank you very much, Carmen.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Carmen.
Thank you very much.
So we will go back to our OPENLang Network project. As anticipated before, we will keep on discussing and presenting the intellectual outputs which were produced. So we are moving to the intellectual output number 3, online 24 EU language placement tests. It will be Panagiotis again. Okay, you are there. Even if you are not perfectly fine, it's the last effort we are asking, and then
okay.
Okay, so I will make you hosts.
Okay.
Please.
Okay, thank you very much, Antonio. So this is the intellectual output 3, online 24 EU language placement test. It was one of the most, I think, challenging, time-consuming output, but we really enjoyed the process, and we finally developed an online database with 24 European language placement tests. I'll try to give you an overview of the research we did in order to identify and select the 24 language placement tests. Well, the overall aim of the output is the identification and selection of open 24 European language placement tests. As I said before, it was not an easy task. It was very challenging, but it was also a very essential part of the project, because this is one of the most essential and important services that our platform will offer to the participants, because the registered user will have the opportunity to assess their language skills and determine their language proficiency. And of course, they will be self-aware of their language status and will be better prepared for their mobility. This is the procedure, the process we followed in order to select the language placement test, starting from the phase 1, an extensive desk research in order to explore what is available in the web regarding the language placement test for 24 European languages. The next step was the evaluation of the available language placement test based on some specific criteria that we found from the literature. And the last phase was actually the then development of the online database with all the 24 language placement tests available to the users. Okay, so starting from the first phase, the exploration of available language placement tests, we carried out an extensive desk research in order to find what is available online regarding the language placement test of European languages. In some cases, we tried to contact directly with some national representatives of the languages, or with the creators of some language placement tests, in order to make sure that this is the test that they use, and to make sure that it is a validated test. As a result, we found some available language placement tests for all the European languages. We found in total 150 tests, and with the criterion to be available online, of course, free and openly accessible to everyone. So this was the first stage of this output. The next step was the evaluation and the final selection of 24 placement tests to be included in our database in the platform. We did an overview of the literature in order to find the criteria in the literature about the language testing and assessment, taking into account also the OPENLang Network project needs. We have decided the final selection criteria and were classified into two categories: primary and secondary criteria. And after that, we have conducted a focus group with 8 people, the members of the consortium, in order to follow the one methodology that I will explain you later, and select the final placement tests. These are the criteria that we have selected, and in order to use in the focus group and select the final test. As you can see in the table, the primary criteria is the first one is if the test is provided by an accredited organization for language learning, open and free to use, easy to use, time needed to complete the questionnaire or the test. And the secondary criteria, if applicable, it was referred to authenticity and interactivity, comprehensiveness and completeness. Of course, for each one of the criterion, we have specific explanation and examples. I don't know what's happening here, probably because you uploaded in a PDF, Antonio. Okay. This was the description of the process of the final selection of the language placement test. I don't know if you can see the text. No. Okay, so I will explain orally. So the first step, it was the presentation and actually the explanation, and give more details about the specific criteria that we are going to use for the selection. The second step was the individual selection of the appropriate language placement test using an evaluation rubric. The third step was the discussion with all the members of the focus group in order to see what other people think about the language placement test. And the final step, the fourth step, it was actually the selection of the most appropriate language placement test for each language. It is important to say that in some languages we have more than one test. So, and finally, the final deliverable of this output is actually the development of the online database of 24 language placement tests available in our OPENLang Network platform. We have also decided and defined the process that the users can follow in order to take the test. The first step is, of course, the registrations and the creation of a profile of the user. The next step is to the user can take the language placement test and calculate the result based according actually to the common European framework reference of languages. And then each user can record the result into his or her profile. The important step is the following one, because based on the feedback that we that the users received, a registered user can find a tandem partner, a language teacher, or a language peer using some specific filters that we that we have developed in the platform in order to start preparing the improved probably the his or her language skills in a specific language before the mobility. All the language placement tests that we found for all the language are available in our platform, so you can visit and see a little bit the process. I think I have finished. That's all from my side. Thanks for your attention. Do you have any questions or comments?
Perfect. Thanks, Panagiotis.
Thank you.
And if there is no question from the audience, I guess we can move to the next presentation, which is the one related to intellectual output for quality framework for language OERs. The presenter will be Maria Perifano. Do you know her?
No.
I'm just uploading the presentation and then I will leave you free to start. Just a second.
Panagiotis, thank you for this nice presentation. You did very well.
Thank you, Maria.
Okay.
So this should be the right presentation, and
yes.
I will make you host.
Again,
Please.
I will discuss about frameworks, many theoretical things, but they're very important when we design, let's say, environments and we work with open educational resources. Hello again. My name is Maria Perifano, and I'm a senior researcher at the SMILE Lab of the University of Macedonia. So in this intellectual output, in this research work, we try to describe, in fact, and we saw how complex and challenging is the quality assurance of open educational resources. And we try to see and identify the available options that educators and institutions have in order to evaluate the digital resources that they want to use, reuse, create, or share. So I will do an introduction, and then I will present the research that we did in order to design the OPENLang quality framework and tool for language OERs. So first of all, let's define a little bit what do we mean by open educational resources. Here I chose between too many definitions. The one by UNESCO, offered by UNESCO. Open educational resources are teaching, learning, and research materials that make use of appropriate tools, such as open licensing, to permit their free reuse, continuous improvement, and repurposing by others for educational purposes. So more or less are those, let's say, materials that are online, but we cannot use them if they are not licensed. So if they don't have a type of license, so we can use them and we know how to use them. So there are different types of open educational resources. As you see here, there is also another, I took this screenshot from UNESCO's report that shows here the variety of open educational resources for language learning. You see here videos, images, quizzes, podcasts. So it can be anything, as you see here, a full course, a game. So there is a big variety of open educational resources, and all you have to do is just go and search, explore, and try to use them. But what is really important, and it's a big challenge for all educators, and not only language educators, but all educators worldwide, is to be able to find open educational resources of quality. As you know, creating from scratch a material for our courses is time consuming, and it's really, really useful when we know that there is a place where we can go and find all these resources, a place that we trust, that we can find quality open educational resource. And why not, we can also find some feedback from the people who have used, from other teachers, for example, who have used these resources, and they provide us also with useful information. So, and this then, from open educational resource, it is transforming to open educational practice, in fact, since they give us also some feedback on how they have used this resource. But we have, there is this, let's say, a big challenge for quality assurance, because this is not an easy process and requires a complex mix of quality tools. What the problem and the gap that we have worldwide, not only in Europe, is that there are not common policies for open educational resources. And this is an area of interest and of open dialogue for many years, and continues to be, because each country has different policies. Every repository that offers this material has different structure, it uses different metadata, the whole mechanism is different. So every time we as users, the educators, have to also understand how all this, let's say, all this process is done. And if we go also to the step where we would like not only to explore and find, but also to upload and share our own work, this can become even more, how can I say, tricky, because also the tools that are offered are also different every time. So here I have shared with you some, let's say, testimonials, I would say. The quality assurance of OERs via concrete quality objectives, standards, and procedures is very important for creators and users. This is what the Joint Research Center have found in their research. And also, the quality of OER is voiced by educator as a significant concern. This is what I was explaining to you before. It is very important to know that we can find somewhere, we can find quality material that we trust, and we can use directly in our classroom. So what we have seen from our exploration in the different repositories for open educational resources is that there are different quality assurance procedures and models. What does it mean in plain English? It means that if I want to see how an open education resource is evaluated, I need to see in what ways they do it in every repository. So what we have seen is that there are two big, let's say, categories. One category is the top-down quality procedures, as you see here. I will explain what this is. That include highly controlled quality assurance model. And that means, in other words, that in this repository, when we try to upload our work, there is a team of people, like in Merlot Open Repository, for example, there is a team of people who are paid for this control review of the material that we upload. And this, in fact, it is done, this review, it is done based on quality criteria. The other way is the bottom quality procedure. So other repositories for open educational resources what they do is to include contributor user-driven models. That means that we as users have the possibility to rate all these resources that we see, we can comment and we can review. And in some cases, we have all of it, that it is even more wonderful because we can have, either the review and the quality support by the team of experts from one side, but from the other side, we have also the feedback from the users. So for us, it will be really nice. Probably you can refer to the procedure that you do when you're searching for a hotel, for example, in Booking or anywhere else, where you will see that it is first rated, and a nice hotel, it is first rated, or it has very good reviews. More or less, this is the same process. Okay, so in our platform, you will find a good variety, a big variety of open educational resources that we have uploaded, we have reviewed based on specific criteria that that I will present to you. And when you will all the users that are going to use our platform, they will also give some metadata. In a way, they will do this quality control, and more or less, this is a place where you can find very good open educational resources because we have done this work. So either of those you can find recommended language open educational resources that are uploaded by the consortium, but you can also share your own open educational resources or other resources that you have found and you think that are good, and why not to include them in our platform. So the challenge, let's see what was the challenge of our research. First, what we did was, the main challenge was to explore open educational resources quality frameworks, tools, and models. This is what we wanted to do. Then we tried to select and review known quality frameworks, tools, and models based on specific criteria, because there are so many out there. So we try to identify those that are well known and are also adapted by very known repositories for open educational resources. And then to see what kind of criteria, works for us, and to create the OPENLang quality framework and tool for language OERs. Okay, so for us, the main aim of this work was to provide the opportunity to each language learner and teacher that will also use our platform to be able to evaluate efficiently the quality of language OERs in order to use them in their daily learning and teaching practice. And as I said, to facilitate all this process of uploading and reviewing the open educational resources. So what we have found, I will show you first of all here the research methodology that we followed. First, we did a literature review in which we have identified and a desktop-based research in order to identify OER quality framework tools and models. Then, based on the findings, we tried to see more or less what kind of criteria they have all these, let's say, quality frameworks and models have used, select in a way and group them, and then based on this, then to create our own quality tool. To make it more specific here, what we have found in the first part, we found out that there is a big variety of frameworks that propose quality assurance indicators for open educational resources or evaluation criteria for different types of resources like open learning objects, e-courses, learning tools. Also we have found that there are specific evaluation tools that can address the needs of different groups. So their different needs of quality, for example, from the institutional perspective, from learner's perspective, or from teacher's perspective. What I mean is that what I said before. So if I am a user, what kind of quality criteria do I need? I need, for example, as I told you before, to have some comments, to have the possibility of rating. But from different perspective, we see different quality criteria. Also, we have found that there are not so many tools that are created specifically for the evaluation of language OERs, because there, in that case, we will need also more information. I mean, more metadata. For example, I also need to know if it is good, a resource is very good for fostering, for example, a specific language skills. So some information that would be more useful for us. And what we did, let me change my slide here. It is, okay, the first step is explained. The second one was to collect and to group more than 200 quality assurance criteria. We have, in fact, we have selected, we have explored many frameworks. We finally selected 31 more or less, if I remember well. And from those, we have seen what kind of the criteria they have used. We tried to group them in different groups that were complementary, let's say, or similar. And then we came up in the end with some specific, let's say, criteria. Okay, first of all, as you see here, the number one is the institution organizational reputation. So when we saw, for example, that a model was adopted by a very good university or a very, let's say, well-promised open repository of open educational resources, we said, okay, like Merlot, for example, if this quality framework is adopted by this one, it means that its quality is very good. Also, the popularity. So how many universities, institutions, for example, how many institutions, in fact, are having adopted this kind of frameworks. So this was also another criteria. And another one was the validity. As we see here, the validity to standards. So it was also very important. And so the validity, it means, for example, when we can see a process that is clearly defined and articulated, this is something that it is really important. So in some cases, in literature review, for example, we have seen that those were tested in real classrooms. And this is also one has an added value. The clear description of quality assessment criteria for all dimensions was also one of our criteria. The easiness to use was also really important for us, because some of those were really complicated, but others are very user friendly. And since we want not to, let's say, to lose our time, we want something good and fast. So this was also one of our criteria. And also one other criteria was the language learning subject oriented. So we tried also to find those that were used specifically in the context of language learning. So based on all these criteria, we designed the OPENLang quality framework for language OERs. That was inspired by several frameworks. So we have seen more or less what other frameworks have offered, and we have done a selection, and from all these 200 different criteria that I referred to them before, we came up to a quality framework for language or open educational resources, which consists of 6 different dimensions: content, pedagogy, design, usability, openness, and technology. So here you can see it also in a diagram. So you can see here the different dimensions. And then for each dimension, there are some, let's say there is an analysis. So for example, now it's not very, I don't know how well you can see, but the content dimension, for example, has different kind of questions. So like, for example, as it says here, what kind of content is this? Is it adaptive? Is it flexible? Is it open? It is credible. There are some descriptors, let's say, for each dimension. And then I continue with the pedagogy. So what kind of pedagogy, let's say, can we see, do we have any information about the pedagogy, the pedagogical orientation behind this resource that it is offered? So if it is, for example, a course, what type of course is this? It is just a lecture, it is interactive, it is based on collaborative learning. So we also wanted to see if there are any information related to this dimension. Another dimension is the design. So how is the design? Is this environment very, as we see here, with nice aesthetics, with appropriate organization and structure, the format? Is it interactive? Can we see multimedia or other tools in this environment, in this open educational resource? Because as I said, it is really important for us to have a good resource that can provide us all these kind of good levels of characteristics. So another dimension is the usability. So how easy is for me to use this resource? Can I interact with this resource? Can I, if it is a course, can I navigate? If it is a book, can I understand the structure? Okay. And then the openness. How open is this? Is it really open? Is it free for me to access or not? Can I share it? Can I recommend it? So I want also to see, can I interact in this one? So can I have a discussion with other practitioners, for example, about this resource? What type of technology? So does it give us this, provide us this kind of information? So this is also one dimension that we need to explore. Also, for example, things that are connected to technologies, also the security, the privacy issues, and other things that we need to have in mind. Of course, what we are going to do is not that we are, every time we need to explore all of this. This is mostly for research reasons. But we have also created this tool in order to, if we want to really evaluate step by step one open educational resource based on these 6 different dimensions, we have also created a tool for that. But what you will do when you are going, for example, to upload your own resources in our platform, you will get a list of metadata that you will need to just to write, because we would like to give the possibility to the users to have the profile, let's say, a useful profile of the resource. So some keywords, the language proficiency levels, probably language skills. Some of those are not obligatory, but for example, it is very important to give information about the Creative Commons licenses, so we know what kind of licenses that we can find and track easily, those that are totally for free. Anyway, so one of the things that we have done is this, and more or less, let's conclude this presentation saying the things that we have found from this research is that quality assurance of open education resources, as you saw, it is not an easy process and requires a complex mix of quality tools. Unfortunately, we don't have common OER policies worldwide, so that means that we need to, to make a bigger effort every time that we want to explore and navigate and review repositories of open educational resources. We have seen that there is a variety of quality approaches, models, as I said before, and this is something that we need to take under consideration in order to apply all these quality approaches. An important problem that we have identified is that open educational resources are not yet immersed largely in the learning and teaching process. That means that, yes, neither teachers nor learners, we can see that are having this, let's say, they don't make use of open educational resources, even though they're there and waiting for all of you. Also, quality language OERs are still not easy to find to use. So for us, it was really difficult to do all this process and, in fact, to aggregate all this in our list, in our database. And also the policies are not clear. And another outcome is and that we have seen not only from this project, but from other projects as well, is that teachers, not only language teachers, are not well trained to use, share, and repurpose their teaching materials, or even inform their students on these licenses and on the way that they can use resources. So it is basic, not only us as teachers to learn and to know all these these procedures, but also to give this information, pass this information, and practically help our students to be able to find also their own resources, because in this era that, let's say, with COVID, we see that we need educational material that it is online, and we ask from our students too many times to prepare presentation, to do all this work online. So they need to know how to find and in which way to use all these materials, if it is a picture, if it is a video, if it is an activity, whatever. So this is for all of us a big need. So this is what we are going to do with our MOOC, and we hope that we have many teachers that will be qualified after that, and will know how to use and to pass their knowledge also to their students or to their colleagues. I think I have finished. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please. Anton, where are you?
Yeah, it takes some seconds to switch on the camera and
I'm teasing you.
and open up the microphone. So again, if there is any question from the audience, otherwise we can move on to the next presentation. So there will be other two presentations, other two intellectual outputs, but for the instance, we can say see you later to Maria, because the next presentation is about the Intellectual Output 5 Toolkit for OPENLang Resources and Practices. Antigone is the person in charge. I will just upload the presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the right one? I think so.
Yes, I will be having host rights.
Yes. Now you have, and the stage is yours, please.
Thank you, Antonio. So in this presentation, we will be looking into the development of the e-toolkit for OPENLang resources and practices. So the aim of this output is the development of a complete step-by-step guideline containing all the core elements for the creation, use, evaluation, and sharing of quality multilingual and interactive OERs for language education. And the contribution of this output is that it provides a step-by-step e-toolkit for the creation, share, and use of for OERs for language learning and teaching that does not currently exist. So we followed 3 phases for the development of this output. Initially, an overview of open educational resources, and then mapping existing guidelines regarding the use, creation, and sharing of OERs. And finally, the development of the e-toolkit for language teachers and trainers. So from the overview of existing OERs, OER guidelines, we extracted definitions of open educational resources and open educational practices, principles and characteristics of open educational resources, benefits and challenges in using OERs in education, and OER databases for the specific context that we are interested in, that is language learning. So when we refer to OERs, we refer to digital learning resources offered online freely and openly to teachers, educators, students, and dependent learners in order to be used, shared, combined, adapted, and expanded in teaching, learning, and research. When referring to open educational practices, we refer to the use of OERs to raise the quality of education and training and innovate educational practices on an institutional, professional, and individual level. So coming to the existing guidelines regarding the use, creation, and sharing of OERs, there are numerous articles and reports which include guidelines in relation to using, creating, and sharing open educational resources. Most of these guidelines are targeted to specific groups, teachers, students, or educational context, but there is currently no specific toolkit for language instructors. Based on the literature, we have extracted the basic processes for OER creation that includes initially the design for openness, the selection of a license, publishing, and then sharing. Here we can see one of the most common frameworks for the creation of an OER, that is the TIPS framework by Kawachi, which the rationale behind the specific framework is to offer suggestions to teacher practitioners as creators and authors of their own OER. So this framework provides guidelines regarding to teaching and learning processes, information and material content, presentation, product and format, and system, technical infrastructure, and technology. So moving on to the development of the OPENLang e-toolkit for language teachers and trainers, we based our toolkit on the findings of the previous review on OERs, as well as on a quality framework for language open educational resources that was described by Dr. Perifanu in the previous presentation. And we developed a step-by-step guide for the creation, share, and use of open educational resources for language material. This e-toolkit has a concrete structure, and it combines theory and practice. So it provides useful material for authoring, for the creation of OERs and language OER databases, specific examples of OERs, useful tips for creating, sharing language open educational resources, examples of good open educational practices specifically for language education, and self-evaluation assessment at the end of each section. Now, here is an overview of the content of the toolkit, starting with an introduction, followed by an overview of the literature, how to find an OER, how to use, create, and share an OER, and then considerations regarding copyright and open licensing. And, of course, some references related to the work included in the toolkit. Now, some key aspects that teachers should consider when creating an open educational resource is who is the audience, whether the OER that is needed already exists, and of course some design challenges. Starting with the audience, the considerations that need to be considered are the level of the language, the nationality, the age of the students, and the gender as well. With regard to existing or making modifications to existing OERs, what changes need to be made, what formatting needs to be considered, what existing databases of language OERs inform us. And with regard to design challenges, the content, the size, and of course the needs of the specific group of students. Coming now to sharing an OER with others, there are several options here that can be considered, either an institutional repository, an open repository, or social networks that can provide an open channel for making our OER visible. An important aspect that needs to be taken into consideration when creating and sharing an open educational resource is copyright and open licensing. So the creator needs to consider whether this work needs to be attributed and how. The attribution entails a link to the original work, information about the author, and specifying the original work's license. If there is possibility for reproducing the original work, or if the work is commercial or non-commercial, and if this work can be altered or remixed without explicit permission from the creator, thus limiting its redistribution to identical copies. The e-toolkit will be used and evaluated by the language teachers and trainers who will participate in the OPENLang MOOC, which will be organized soon. And participants will have the opportunity to review the toolkit and provide their feedback. Here is an infographic that provides in a nutshell the content of the toolkit for language teachers and trainers, highlighting its major content, that is finding, evaluating, using, creating, and sharing an open educational resource. That is all from our side. If there are any questions, we will be happy to answer them.
Thanks, Antigone. Again, it will take a few seconds for me to be visible to all the participants. Perfect. And we can now move on to the last, but it seems that there is no question from the audience. So we can move on to the very last presentation of this multiplier event. As usual, it will take a few seconds to have the presentation available. And then I will immediately invite Anastasios from University of Macedonia to prepare himself, because here we have your presentation. I will make you host. And the stage is yours, please.
Okay, thank you, Antonio. So this is the last output in our project that will integrate all work that we have done previously, such as the e-toolkit that Antigone just have described. So, which button should I push to move on, Antonio?
It is the, yeah,
okay.
perfect. The arrow just below.
Probably any button on my computer. I was looking at the black book. Okay, so the MOOC. MOOC is the initials of Massive Open Online Course. We will launch this MOOC in September, October, and it will last for 4 weeks. And it will contain material, educational material, for creating, sharing, using a multilingual and interactive language open educational resources. So this MOOC is more suitable for language teachers and anyone that is involved in the language teaching community, even for people that want to learn a new language. So the MOOC will offer services to the participants, and it will be hosted by the platform of the project. Alexander has written the link for the platform in the chat, so you can see the link to the platform in the chat. So the MOOC will contain the e-toolkit that is educational material for people who want to learn how to find, use, share open educational resources specific to languages. And we have also populated the platform with hundreds of language ORs already. And as I told you before, the scheduling will be for 4 weeks, and each week we will provide material for each specific competency of using language ORs. There will be also available tutors asynchronously to help anyone who has problems with the platform or needs something to learn more about, for example, how to assign Creative Commons licenses to an open educational resource that he or she is developing and wants to share it with the rest of the community. We will also provide an open educational practices ebook. So this is something different from open educational resources. The open educational practices mainly refers to teaching scenarios, activities, how to use the ORs in the actual teaching practice. Finally, we will provide certifications to all participants who will complete most of the tasks. Already, Alexander told you in the beginning of our webinar that there will be badges for those who will provide some open educational resources. But also we will provide certifications for those who will complete the course, the MOOC, the Massive Open Online Course. So the 2 main areas in the platform are the recommended language OR Here we have already uploaded hundreds of language ORs that we have found, and we will continue uploading more ORs, language ORs. And there is also another area, suggest and share language OR, that will be shared by people outside of the consortium, by all those people that will watch and participate in the MOOC. So this is the announcement of the coming MOOC. So please register in order to get notifications about the exact beginning day of the MOOC and all relevant material. So again, this link has been provided in the chat by Alexander. You can find the link, register yourself, and you will be notified about anything that is happening. Again, this is the link. It is written, as I told you, in the chat. And also you can participate in our survey about the language needs of mobilers in the Erasmus activities, and also about the language placement tests that was described by Panagiotis. So you can say your views about all these things. So we are waiting for you at the end of September, October, to participate in our MOOC. And here are some links on Facebook, on Twitter. You can follow and keep updated on our activities. So thank you from myself also. Antonio, now it's and Maria, it is your...
One more thing to add. Thank you very much, Anastasios. One thing that we will also do is that we will organize a webinar by the end of the MOOC. And in this webinar, we will more or less share our experience of the Massive OPENLang course. And we will also, present practices that were also very interesting. And more or less, we will also invite people who have contributed in the MOOC to present their work. So keep in mind that it will be really nice, because apart from the things that you will learn as far as open educational resources is concerned, you will have also the possibility to network with other colleagues, and why not also collaborate on creating something together, because we will try also to create groups during the Massive OPENLang course. And in this way, you will be able also to collaborate with other colleagues around the world. So why not? This is why we do all this nice, let's say, projects, not only to work and learn, but to learn together and to work together. And this is one of the beautiful aspects of the projects. So please come and join us. Thank you very much. Antonio, I'm passing the word to you.
Okay, thanks, Maria. So we have presented all the intellectual outputs. First of all, again, before just closing and this multiplier event, I would like to summarize up some of the inputs which were discussed during this multiplier event. And as attempt to summarize up what has been discussed and presented today, first of all, let me thank both the keynote speakers, Laia Canals and Carmen Olotescu, for their participation in these multiplier events. They gave us some interesting inputs and some food for thoughts and for further and suggestions about the project and its sustainability. But above all, I would say that their speeches provided us with some interesting replies to the starting question, which is, what is the future of education? Because again, this is the aim of the conference, which is currently hosting the Multiplier events. Which direction is the education going to? But on the other hand, it is also one of the implicit questions which arising from the project, because we have been working and we will continue on working on the results that we presented today, which are innovative, which are open, and which are and will be available for all the target users. So this is an aspect I would like to highlight and I would like to focus on. So we are producing some tools which will be useful for all the participants in the project, for all the target users until the end of the project, and also later on. So they will be there, and we defined the target groups, and we hope they will take advantage from what we produced, in particular what is available on the website, the upcoming massive online open course. There are several opportunities for teachers to share good practice, to refresh their knowledge, and to get prepared with the challenges that education will have in the upcoming years, because sometimes it is something which is emerging in a lot of projects. Sometimes we are speaking with teachers who are less skilled than their students, in particular in the management of online tools, in the management of digital education, and so on. So this project can be useful for the teachers and can be extremely useful for the students too, in order to develop and increase their language knowledge and skills, in order to get prepared to the challenges that they will have in the future. Because what we already knew and what we learned in the last year and a half is that cooperation, exchange is fundamental. All of us, we have been forced to stay at home, to not to have any opportunity to travel, to go around and so on. It seems that the situation is getting better, and we should be prepared to the moment in which everything will be open again. So this word open, which is in the title of the project, but on the other hand, it is something we are really looking forward to. Everything will be open, and it will be possible to have a normal life, to start traveling again, to taking advantage from the opportunities of mobilities which are offered by the Erasmus Plus program. And it would be better or advisable to deal with these new challenges, with these new opportunities, with an important background, with increased language skills, and with a new perspective of what is going on and what will happen within education. So once again, I would like to thank all the two keynote speakers, but I would also like to thank the participants in this Multiplier event, as well as the partners of the project, the consortium. So I would like to thank Antigone, Panagiotis, Alex, Maria, and Anastasius. It is quite common for European projects that you know colleagues, and you become quite close to them. In this specific project, I would say I don't consider them colleagues anymore. They are friends, and we have been working hard. We will keep on working for the upcoming months until the end of the project, and maybe there will be some further opportunities also at the end of the current project. So I would like to thank all of you. There has been some movement in the chat. There was a question by Ajaji Chawib, but he or she is not there anymore. Yes, there is the link to the project website. Also, Anastasius, he put again the link to the to our website, take our survey on mapping the language learning profile, and there is the short survey on language placement tests. So all the links are available here. It is not just the close. Before this, if there is any question, me, Maria, and the partnership of the project, we are here to reply to your questions.
I want also to thank all the participants. Of course,
Yeah.
I see also some friends here. Thank you so much for your time to join us today.
It is not anyway the closing of the project. There will be some other months and some other activities. So stay tuned on our activities. Visit our website because we will put there all the information, but as well as we will be using all the social media to inform potential target users for the upcoming activities, starting from the massive online open course, which was described by Anastasia. So it is not a farewell. It is just, okay, now you are more familiar with the project. Now you know more about us, and we would like to involve you in the upcoming activities. It would be, I saw that there are already some candidatures for the massive online open course. That it will be a further opportunity to cooperate. There will be other opportunities. So again, you can take advantage from our website. Stay tuned, check our website because all the activities will be published there, and there will be also some news about what is going on within the project. So if you want to cooperate with us, we will be extremely happy to do that. There have been some links. I will add an extra one because, you know, it is important to receive your feedback. And